Hello and welcome to today's myminimaths.co.uk video tutorial. And today we're going to be subtracting 4-digit numbers, 5-digit numbers and decimals. All using the formal written method or vertical method or column method. So first of all, on to question 1, which is a 4-digit subtract a 4-digit. So we have 7,012 and we're going to subtract 4,455. So units first. 2 subtract 5 we can't do, so we're going to borrow from the tens column, so we have 0 tens left now, and bring it over to the units, and we have 12 units subtract 5 units to give us 7 units. Then next we've got 0 tens subtract 5 tens, which we can't do, so we're going to borrow from the hundreds, but as we can see there's nothing there, so we need to move over again into the thousands column and borrow from the 7,000, so that's now 6,000, and don't forget that golden rule, we need to bring it over just one column at a time, one stepping stone at a time. Then we need to borrow from the 10, so it's now a 9, and bring it over all the way back to where we originally needed it, which is in the tens column. So we have 10 tens subtract 5 tens for 5 tens. Then we have 900 subtract 400 for 500, and then finally we've got 6,000 subtract 4,000 for 2,000. So a final answer of 2,557. And next we're on to question 2. This time it's a 5-digit subtract a 5-digit. It's no harder, just literally an extra column to subtract. So the numbers we have: 53,298. I'm going to subtract 26,655. Let's have a little look. So units, we have 8 subtract 5, which is 3 units. 9 tens subtract 5 tens, 4 tens. Then we have 200 subtract 600, which we can't do. The 600 is bigger than the 200. So we move over to our thousands column and we borrow one of those 3,000s. So now there's 2,000 in there. And we bring it over to the hundreds. So we have 12 hundreds subtract 600s for 600. Then we've got 2,000 subtract 6,000, which we can't do again, so we need to carry over into that 5th column, which is the 10,000s column, borrow from that 5, so we leave 40,000 in that column and bring it over to the thousands. And then finally 12,000 subtract 6,000 gives us 6,000, and onto that last column we have 40,000 subtract 20,000 for a final answer of 26,643. And next we're on to question 3. Now question 3 is the first of our decimal subtractions, and it's no different. Just like with addition, it's no different. We just happen to have a decimal point in between 2 of the digits. So let's write it out: 37.92, and we're subtracting 8.7. Now, just like when we're adding decimals, the golden rule is to make sure that these decimal points are lined up all the way through the question, all the way through to the answer. And also, a lot of people find it helpful to fill in these gaps with zeros. You don't have to, but it's something I'll leave up to you. Some people find it much easier. So, first of all, the hundredths column. We've got 2 hundredths subtract nothing, 0, so that leaves us with 2 hundredths. Then we're on to the tenths column. 9 tenths subtract 7 tenths is 2 tenths. Our decimal point is already in position. Then we have our units. We've got 7 subtract 8, which we can't do. So just like before, we borrow from the tens column, leaving just 20 in the tens, bringing that 10 over for 17 units, subtract 8 units to give us 9 units, and then finally we have 20 subtract nothing, which is 20, for a final answer of 29.22. And again, making sure that those decimal points are all lined up is crucial to making it a very straightforward calculation. And finally, we're on question 4, which is 50.01. And we are subtracting 25.74. Now, it's always worth noting, as I do with the children in my classes, that when you have decimals, think of money. If we were to put pound symbols in front of these, it would become actually far more familiar. So £50 and 1p, and we're subtracting £25.74p. So let's see what that gives us left. So first of all, we're on to our hundredths column, or the single pennies. So we have 1p subtract 4p. We can't do it, so we need to go over to the tenths column, the 10p's column, and there's nothing there. So again, jumping over our decimal point, we need to go into the units column, and again there's nothing there again, so we need to keep going into the tens column, and we need to borrow one of those £50, one of those 5 tens. So now there's just 4 tens in there, and don't forget, we only ever bring it one stepping stone at a time. So we've brought that into the units column. We're going to borrow from those units, which now has 9 units, and bring it back over to the tenths column, and then we're going to borrow from that 10 and bring it over all the way over to the hundredths column, leaving us with 9 tenths there. So finally, we can actually perform our subtractions. So we have 11 hundredths subtract 4 hundredths, which gives us 7 hundredths. Then we have 9 tenths subtract 7 tenths, which is 2 tenths. Okay, let's make sure that all these decimal points are lined up. Then we have 9 units subtract 5 units, which is 4 units. And then finally, we have 4 tens subtract 2 tens, which is 2 tens, for a final answer of 24.27. And of course, we always look at it from a money perspective. So £24.27. So again, if you do need to borrow from a zero, don't worry, just go on to the next column. If there's nothing there again, just go on to the next column and keep going until you can borrow, just making sure you're bringing back one and one space only each time, all the way back to where you actually need it, and then you can just carry on with your subtraction through to the end. Thanks for listening today, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.